I was a corporate writer, a global strategist, living on top of the world, trading on my talent. Nothing could stop me, right? But then I had kids. And life changes when you have kids, right? So I went from living life from my head to living it in my heart. But I got out of the corporate grind, started doing a lot of nonprofit, leading ministry, doing a lot of mission work, truly serving my kids and the world. It felt like I was fully stepping into myself for the first time, but that was only half the picture. Because at home, I was hanging on by a thread. I was silently suffering and behind the scenes of a marriage that tore away at my very soul. And like so many women of faith and with broken marriages, I thought if I stayed and was obedient and faithful and steadfast, that it would overcome my husband's unfaithfulness and fix it. That was my daily dance. Yeah, day after day, stay obedient, do it right, do it perfect. It's all going to work out. Until a week before Christmas, my husband comes to me and he says, "I'm leaving you." And, with tears in my eyes, of course, I'm sitting there looking at the presents under the tree and praying for the strength, right? To stay strong for my boys, to give them a Christmas and not really knowing what was next. But, isn't that what we do with our pain, and trauma? We put on this brave face, but the truth was inside, man, I was broken. I felt so completely swallowed whole by fear and doubt and worry, like what was I going to do? I mean, I started drowning, right, in this whole thing of shame and fear because Hillary was supposed to have it all together, right? Hillary was the one that used to lead by example. I mean, I was a leader in corporate. I was a leader in my family. I was a leader in ministry. I was supposed to be the go-to girl who had it all together. But I'll admit, man, I was far from it. I never felt so alone and just so abandoned. I mean, I was at such a low point. I mean, I was completely swallowed whole. And I remember just yelling out to God, what and why? What's going on? I was barely surviving in this divorce wilderness, right? And, that whole being lost and discouraged, and I just wanted to give up. I mean, I was so tired, I just wanted to give up and just die. But this was my life. It was combative, and I just saw no way out. I was in a really dark place, and then one day my daddy, he gave me this speech, how all daddies do, right? And I'll never forget this. He said, "You have forgotten." He goes, "Girl, remember what you're fighting for. Remember who you are and whose you are. You're a daughter of a king." God, I remember like it was like a flash of lightning. It was like God all of a sudden told me, "Girl, I got you. It's time to throw off that shirt of shame, to put on that armor, right? To rebuild, to reinvent, to reemerge." And so I wrote it down. It's like He gave me those words: rebuild, reinvent, reemerge. That became like my rally call because I was the daughter of a king, so I needed to straighten my crown, right? I needed to put my warrior paint on and pull back, man, from my background of being a corporate strategist. So I began to architect a life where I could thrive and not just survive, right? And for the first time, I could see truth. That God gave me, yes, He gave me an opportunity to turn loss into leverage and a brokenness into beauty and to gain clarity when there was such uncertainty. That instantly, in that moment, I went from wrecked to redeemed and restored. So I got straight to work, right? I rolled up my sleeves. It was time to rip off that shirt of shame, because most of us fall. We fall into all these things. Like we fall into school, right? We fall into career. We fall into getting married. We fall into love. We fall into the kids and we just fall, right? I don't think any of us really do it with intention and purpose. We never really understand kind of who we are or what we're doing until all of a sudden you get to that spot. But when I started to rebuild piece by broken piece, I was finally learning myself for the first time and, building that foundation rooted in truth. Not those lies that I had bought into, but purpose and intention and my calling, right? Again, I went from wrecked to redeemed to restored. And I realized that, you know what? It was not my home or marriage that was really broken. It was my foundation that had cracked. And so I rebuilt it stronger than ever before so I would become unshakable. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping others. I want to break that cycle. We're meant to be cycle breakers. There's no more wash, rinse, and repeats. With a rebuilt foundation, I was now ready to reinvent who I wanted to be, right? Not who I thought I had to be, or my identity was just a mom or just a wife or whatever. I didn't have to be in a box. I wasn't shackled or limited by possibilities. And I think that's the beauty of, and really a gift truly of rebuilding, right? You get to build a strong foundation. You get to find your power and your strengths and play to that. And you get to create and support your highest possibility. So I literally had just reinvented this new life. And that's when I started to reemerge. It's kind of a reintroduction, to the world, to get to showcase the new me, the real me, the version of me that was rooted in power and purpose and intention and an unshakable foundation. I was finally able to really live a congruent life. I went through the whole R3, the rebuilding, the reinventing, the reemerging, and it was so worth it. Because now my life, oh my gosh, my life is just so full. It's just full of grace. It's bigger, it's better, it's bolder than the life I had before. You see, I've been gifted this most amazing and beautiful man to do life with, and our children are growing and stable, and I have the thriving private practice, and I get to keynote globally with an international movement and run programs that really impact lives around the world. All these things came from brokenness, but it was for a purpose, because I had to be broken so I could be used, to be able to serve my family and my clients and my community at a deeper level, to truly architect a life. Who would have thought, right? But each one of us have the power to rebuild and reinvent and to reemerge with power and purpose and intention. To have this whole new life, a new relationship, not only with ourselves, but to others and to God. And to show up, to really get to step into your greatness and show up so that you can live abundantly and full. We're talking going all in. So just know this, situations don't always happen to us, right? They can become our biggest gifts, and they can actually work for us, because it calls us to really pull back the curtain and to recalibrate, right? And rebuild and reinvent and reemerge, because we get to turn our loss into leverage and our brokenness into beauty and our uncertainty into clarity. You can step out and really live courageously and boldly and vulnerably. You just need a strategy, a blueprint. And you either need to remember or you need to discover, maybe for the first time, who you are and whose you are.